Hello everybody and welcome back to the weekly VR news, where I break down everything going on in the VR industry, prepare you for this week's upcoming game releases, and then focus in on a few major stories. Today, we definitely have some bad news to get through, like Echo VR shutting down, Onward dropping support for the Quest 1, and some production changes for VR hardware. It's not all bad news though, and there's still plenty to be excited for. Now there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but before we jump in, this video is brought to you by my sponsor Kiwi Design. They currently make my favorite Quest 2 Elite strap, which comes in multiple different versions. You can add an extra battery pack, high quality headphones, or even both. They also have other products like Valve Index style hand straps, and they just introduced a brand new RGB stand. Your controllers and headset magnetically connect. There's a charging indicator so you'll know when your headset's ready to go, and there's plenty of different RGB color options available. There's a link to Kiwi Design down in the description, and don't forget to use discount code Mateo311 for 5% off and to help support this channel. Okay, so starting off with new releases like usual, there's some interesting games to look forward to this week. First up is A Night in the Attic, and this is a puzzle-solving VR adventure title. You'll be rolling Guinevere across multiple levels and tilting through obstacles on your way to save King Arthur. It's a whole new take on the world of Camelot, and the adventure extends beyond the game board itself and into your very own mysterious attic. But if that's not enough action for you, we have Barbaria. Barbaria is a combination of Goron-like combat, where you also get to build your own realm, fill it with traps and minions, and then battle your way to becoming the strongest champion in all of the realms. Now, I recently started playing this and will say I am definitely impressed. The combat's a lot of fun, there's a surprisingly high amount of strategy, and the items you unlock truly feel rewarding. Now, I might be doing a full review of this game, so let me know if you want one down in the comments right now. And our next title up is Aspera. Aspera is city building on a planetary scale as you attempt to terraform the Red Planet. You'll have to strategically balance resources and develop new technologies in order to create a thriving interplanetary civilization. It's not all base building though, because you'll have to defend your civilization from a mysterious presence that's living on Mars. So if you're looking for a new city builder or something to scratch the strategy itch, Aspera might be exactly what you're looking for. Now this is also a good week for Pico owners, as the free-to-play 1v1 shooter BlastOn is now available for both the Pico 3 and Pico 4 headsets, and I highly recommend you check out the game because it's excellent. There's plenty of unlockable weapons, combat is extremely strategic and highly competitive, and it will also give you a bit of a workout. Now there's also a handful of new games that just came to the Pico store, many of which I'm having trouble finding information on, so I'll just list them out and add any details that I may have. First up is Obaki Doro, followed by Madame Pirate, which appears to be an interactive storyline. There's Cybrex, which is a Breakout clone. Enhanced VR, a series of mini-games designed to increase your reflexes and cognitive abilities. And finally, we have Kung Fu Beat and Power Punch. So if you're a Pico 4 or Pico 3 owner, you might want to go check out these games. Now that's it for new releases, but there are plenty of additional game stories to go over. And let's start with a $1,000 cash tournament for the upcoming PvP title Stack. Stack is currently in development from Joyway, the studio that's currently working on Stride, and gave us some other really cool games like Against. Well, their newest title, Stack, that's currently in development, is having its first official tournament to help promote the game. You'll be competing in 2v2 modes, the prize pool is $1,000, and it looks like some content creators are joining in on the action. Now, if you're interested, you have to register by February 14th, and I will include a link down in the description. Now, unfortunately though, we're gonna start moving into some bad news, and first up is Onward dropping Quest 1 support. Starting on July 31st, Onward will not be playable in any capacity on the Quest 1. Now, while this is sad news, it's not much of a surprise. Meta is currently in the process of phasing out the Quest 1 altogether, and other studios have already dropped Quest 1 support. This was required for Big Box Studio to add sandbox mode onto Population 1, but I was told only a small percentage of players were actually using the original Quest, and I expect the same to be true for Onward. I personally thought the game was pretty terrible on the original Quest, and can't imagine too many people are still playing it. Now, unlike Big Box, who needed to drop Quest 1 support to expand the capabilities of their title, I don't think that's what Onward is currently doing. I think this is more for efficiency, allowing them to not have to test updates on a platform that no one's really utilizing anymore. Mark Zuckerberg also let it slip a while back that Onward 2 is in production, so I expect a lot of the team is currently focusing on that. Now, in other game support dropping news, it came as quite a shock to hear that Echo VR is shutting down. The extremely popular competitive online title that played like a combination of Rocket League and rugby was by all accounts performing quite well. Now, expectedly, there was a pretty harsh reaction from the community, and a lot of people were left scratching their heads wondering why this is actually happening. Even Andrew Bosworth, Meta's current CTO, and John Carmack, Meta's previous consulting CTO, chimed in on the closure of this title. Now, Boz stated that ultimately this was his decision, basically accepting all the blame, but the discussion went much further, and there was even the tale of two Carmacks. Now, this is basically both how John Carmack would be for and against the shutdown of this title. On one hand, John absolutely loves efficiency, so it sounds like Echo VR was requiring more and more work and making less and less profit. But at the same time, John sees games similar to artwork and feels like they should live on forever. But I think there's one other aspect that no one seems to be discussing. I don't believe developers Ready at Dawn ever aimed to make an online service title. They absolutely love and excel at single-player story-driven titles, which is clearly evident from Lone Echo 1 and 2. We know they're working on a brand new title, which I assume will follow the same creative direction, and I expect that endeavor to be extra hard, while you still have to put a lot of attention into an online service. This would split the team between passion and obligation. Now, the common response to this is, why doesn't Meta just hire some new people to handle Echo VR? Well, the previous discussion on efficiency makes it appear that this title is currently on a decline, and it would take a lot of time, effort, and money to get a new team up to speed. So instead, they'll sunset Echo VR, Bosworth can take the blunt of the blame, and Ready at Dawn is free to work on their next amazing title. Now, I feel really bad for the community that just absolutely loves this game, but unfortunately that's just how things work now. Now, continuing with bad news and John Carmack chiming in on subjects, we have some updates for the PlayStation VR 2. John believes that both the hardware is solid and Sony has some real advantages when it comes to gaming content, but at the same time, pricing is extremely significant, and because of its PlayStation 5 requirement, it most likely won't be that successful. Now, John later clarified that statement by saying he expects it to outsell the Quest Pro, but definitely not the Quest 2. And personally, I agree with him, but he also said it's not all bad news for developers, because even if there are less PlayStation VR 2s out there compared to Quest 2s, the content on that headset will most likely justify higher price tags. He'd also happily enjoy being wrong, and love to see the PSVR 2 be a breakout success. Now, a report out of Bloomberg might have slightly confirmed some of this information, as it claimed that Sony was cutting production for their PlayStation VR 2, reducing it from 2 million units in the first quarter down to only 1. Now, Sony directly refutes this claim and states that they're seeing a lot of enthusiasm from PlayStation fans. I'm a little skeptical here though, because pre-orders have been available for months, and Sony even had an invite-only pre-order period, which was basically pointless because the product never sold out. The PSVR 2 would also have to sell significantly better than the original product because there were twice the number of PS4s out in the wild when the original VR headset went on sale. So basically, I agree with Carmack. I think the headset looks great and is going to bring higher quality games, but it's not going to be a huge success. Who knows though, things could change once it gets into the hands of gamers and everyone starts raving about it. Maybe the demand will suddenly skyrocket. Now, next up, we might have another potential VR casualty from Microsoft, and that's the HP Reverb G2. Now, this is currently rumor territory, but supposedly HP is stopping production on the Reverb G2 and will be leaving the VR market. As a Windows mixed reality device, this sort of makes sense, as Microsoft has pulled the plug on everything VR, and I doubt this product was ever a big moneymaker for HP. We've also recently seen some pretty massive sales for this headset, so this might be an everything must go situation for HP. But let's end this video on some better notes. If you're looking to see Horizon Worlds expand, Meta will soon be making this application accessible from non-VR devices. So with both web and mobile applications being added into the mix, we might see a huge boost in player count. This could lead to more potential profit and additional user-created content. As a social application, Horizon Worlds has been struggling to get a good footing, so this might be exactly what they need. Speaking of exactly what we needed, Meta briefly dropped the price of the Quest Pro down to $1,100, but it's already moved back to that $1,500 price tag, so if you were interested, you missed your chance. Now, I'm really struggling to understand the reasoning behind this, because I don't really see the HTC XR Elite as a true competitor, and this was an excellent way to piss off early adopters who had to spend nearly 30% more for their device. Now, I plan on doing a full follow-up video on the Quest Pro, because now there's plenty of units available at a discounted price on eBay, so if you have any questions at all about this headset, please drop them down in the comments right now, and I'll make sure to answer them in that follow-up video. But let's focus on finishing up this video, and I have a bit of good news, bad news. Meta's fourth quarter earnings are in, Reality Labs lost another $4.3 billion, and both Quest sales and overall revenue is lower than last year. But this fourth quarter revenue was higher than a lot of experts anticipated, and Meta also announced a $40 billion stock buyback, so the price per share has significantly risen, and it looks like overall things for Meta are starting to turn around. But what do you guys think about all this? Is Carmack right about the PlayStation VR 2? Is Meta completely out of trouble? Or is something completely unexpected just around the corner? Please let me know down in the comments right now.
And that was was today's video, brought to you by my dad, Mateo311. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here,
consider subscribing.
consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing. We'll see you guys on next time.
We'll see you guys on next time.